personal, and we'll talk about this to him, that whatsoever matter it is, like we will try to have a verbal communication. That is how communication varies from situation to situation. आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते हैं कि अगर आपके फ्रेंड के साथ कोई मिसहैपनिंग हुई है तो आप उसको जस्ट एक टेक्स्ट कर रहे हैं, लाइक आई जस्ट हर्ड अबाउट दिस एंड दिस, आई एम फीलिंग वेरी, नो, दिस इज़ नॉट द वे. आप उससे मिलेंगे, उससे बात करेंगे, उसके लिए सिंपैथेटिक अपनी जो सिंपैथी है वो शो करेंगे. सो एट दैट पॉइंट द वर्बल कम्युनिकेशन इज़ बेस्ट कम्युनिकेशन. And talking about, as I told you, the professional things, उस केस में like you need a holiday for suppose, तो आप अपने बॉस को जाकर डायरेक्टली ये नहीं कहेंगे कि हाँ मुझे like I need a holiday or I need a day off. No, you will write a proper material for that and you will mail him that you need this and whatever it is. So this is how communication varies. Every field got a different kind of communication. Okay, so let me tell about types of communication. There are basic 5 types of communication, which includes verbal communication, non-verbal communication, and many more. Like, oh yes, I want to introduce a new thing over here: listening. Listening is a very important type of communication. Now you will like, what? Listening? How come? But you know what communication needs? One, it needs a sender, it needs a receiver. Sender will speak, but what is the use of receiver? It will listen. Listening is the best part or important part, I would say, of communication, because listening plays a very important role in a communication. Because if you're not gonna listen someone, then how will you communicate with them? So listening is also an important task in the case of communication. So I was telling you about the types of communication. So I've told you about verbal and non-verbal communication. Also the listening. Other 2 are written and visuals. These 5 are the important types of communication. Non-verbal is what we can't speak. Okay. Verbal is what we need to speak to other, and other one will listen. So listening, verbal and non-verbals are covered in this. Talking about the visuals. What do you mean by visual communication? Like visual is something related to the vision, and vision is related to your eyes. So like we communicate through visual things, like it might be pictures, posters, or different things. Okay, and talking about the writing is all what you are aware of. Writing is like written communications, like sending mails or sending text messages. This is what all written communication leads to. And most importantly, nowadays some people are there which thinks that communication is not so important. They don't know the value of communication, but this is an essential part of our life. It is very essential for being a human, because communication is all on the basis of what others judge you. They'll look at you, they'll judge you, and when you start talking to them, they will again judge you. So maybe you have to enhance your communication just for others too. But according to me, enhancing your communication skills is very beneficial for your own, because it just boosts your confidence and increase your morale, and you'll feel like that, yes, I've got something, I have achieved something. So that is why communication is very important. Okay, so now let me tell you about some other types of communication. First of all, some interpersonal communication. What is interpersonal communication? Interpersonal communication is when we talk with each other interpersonally. So when referencing communication types, people are usually speaking about interpersonal communication as opposed to intrapersonal communication. What is difference between interpersonal and intrapersonal? It is very simple. Interpersonal communication is communication that occurs between people or between groups, whereas intrapersonal communication is that occurs with one's own mind. One form of the interpersonal communication is that which occurs between a small group of people. Group members are usually face to face and participate in dialogue with one another, which can be either be directed, planned, or spontaneous. Having one interpersonal communication with others helps to break down barriers and increase understanding. It is important for intercultural communication, workplace communication, or for personal relationships as well. I just told you about two basic communication, that is interpersonal communication and intrapersonal communication. What is the difference? I have told you that it's very simple. Whenever I talked about interpersonal communication, that is when I talk with you, I talk with someone else, or I talk with a group of people. Whenever I communicate with others, this is what intercommunication is. But whenever I'm sitting alone, or I'm like thinking something, yeah, this happened today, this is what intercommunication is. I am talking to myself. I am talking to myself in my mind. This is what intrapersonal communication is. And yes, also I would like to tell you about why this interpersonal communication is more important than intrapersonal communication, because whenever we are performing an intrapersonal communication, like I'm talking to myself, this will lead to overthinking. It's very correct that talking to yourself leads to some sort of overthinkingness, and that causes anxiety, then stress and all, because it's human tendency to think those situations that doesn't even happen yet. So this is what there's a kind of a drawback of communication. This is according to me. I'm talking about intercommunication. That is very important, because whenever we talk with others, it includes many factors. It includes dialogues. They might be spontaneous, or they might be planned, or something like, but it includes dialogues, and different factors are there which it includes. We all have some kind of barriers with others now, so just to remove that barriers, the intercommunication is best source of communication. It removes all the barriers we are having, because with communication we come to know different things about them, and they will start getting us. So this is how communication leads to the best relationships. This communication, that intra-communication, is best for your workplace, for your personal life also. Whenever we make friends, no one become friends like seeing each other and hey and you gotta become friends. No, that's not it. You talk to them, they talk to you, and this is how you starting getting knowing each other, and the communication increases, and this is how you became friends. So communication always leads to good relationships. Also in your workplace, to make the environment friendly and your surroundings good, communication is very important. So the 5 types of communication you need to know about: the verbal communication, non-verbal communication, written communication, visual communication, and listening. Verbal communication encompasses all communication using spoken words or unspoken words, as in case of sign language. It is important to understand how to effectively communicate your ideas verbally in order to avoid misunderstanding while you speak. Make sure to use the right type of language, speak clearly, know your audience, respond in the best way, and use an appropriate tone when speaking. So verbal communication requires these all things. Whenever you are verbally communicate with anyone, you must be sure that your words must be accurate, your body language must be accurate, so that others will not misunderstand you. Whenever you are using verbal communication, you use different kind of words and you speak, and sometimes whenever in the case of sign language, we also talk to each other in sign language. This is also comes under the verbal communication. These things are very important whenever you're talking to your audience. What does audience means here? Audience means the one who listens, or audience is related to audio word now. So audience is the one who listen. So you have to make sure that they will listen the positive content from your side. Your words must be accurate, your body language must be accurate, and you should be aware what are you saying. Your words must be clear. Okay, your pronunciation must be clear. Only in that case you will have a good effect on your audience. Non-verbal communication. What is actually being said is only half of the battle. The rest lies in what isn't being said. This means your tone, facial expressions, body language, hand movements, and eye contact. When you make yourself aware of what the rest of you is doing as you speak, you can make correctness as eventually use all the right non-verbal cues to convey your point. So here comes the most important part, that is non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication requires a lot of, such as your hand movements, your body language, your facial expressions, your tone of voice, and many different things, including your expressions as well. Like, these things are very important while you are speaking, because whenever we speak, we are totally concentrated towards our speaking skills, but that's not the accurate one. That just is included in the verbal section, but these non-verbal things must be taken care of. Like, whenever I'm speaking to someone, I must ensure that my tone is according to the situation, and my body language, like, it should be very important factor to be included in it. Like, if I'm talking to you, I'm giving you a lecture, but I'm doing like this, okay, so let's start this lecture, like, I'm looking very tired and all, then you will say, you won't have any interest to talk to me, because this is enhancing a bad impression on you. Okay, so according to me, body language must be very confident. Like, your hand movements, your facial expressions, whenever you are talking to someone, have an eye contact with them. This is the best way to enhance your confidence. If you are having an eye contact with someone while talking to them, they will connect with you. They will try to listen you. They will try to understand you, that what you are saying. They will have a proper eye contact with you, and they will think what you are saying. They will think it. They will produce it, and they will totally gonna understand it. So this is why non-verbal skills are very important. Not only the speaking skills, but these factors, as I told you, also important. What are these factors? Your hand movements, your body language, your eye contact, and your confidence level, and your voice tone, and your exact pronunciation of the words. These all plays a crucial role in your communication skills. Written communication is another type of communication. It is very important, as we all know that written communication is somewhat similar to verbal communication, but still it's being separated to it because it includes some different factors than verbal communication. Written communication means a lot of things we usually do on our daily basis routine, like such as writing texts, writing mails, writing or sending messages to others, writing different articles, making billboards, posters, like writing billboards, or different things such as advertisements and all. This is what all included in the writing communication. Writing is important because sometimes there is a thing like we always not express ourselves in the form of verbal communication. At that time, the best way to express yourself is to write the things. Writing is a very important part in our life. Whenever we are not sure what to say or how to say, just write it, because writing the things going in your mind always makes you relax. That's gonna help you a lot. And talking about the factors included in writing skills or writing communication, so firstly, your spellings must be correct, because if someone is reading what you have sent him or her, the spellings must be correct. Not that, especially if you have written an email to your office colleague or someone in the office or in your professional life, at that case your spellings must be accurate. The way you write, your grammatical portions, these all must be very accurate, because while speaking sometimes we miss some grammatical things now, so that doesn't even matter, because there is a fluency while speaking. But while writing, everyone read the words accurately, and if there is any kind of mistake, this was going to be pointed out very soon as will they say it. So there are different factors that are built in written skills that must be proper or up to mark. So visual communication plays a very important role while we are connecting to others, because it's a human tendency that we usually get attracted towards the visual things rather than the verbal things. Okay, we don't even remember such things that someone had told us, but the thing we have seen with our eyes, we remember it every time. So that is why visuals or visual communication plays a very important role. Whenever someone is giving lecture, for example, they always prefer to relate it with practical life. Okay, just because you will visualize it in your mind, you will try to make a practical example out of it, and then you're gonna learn it with it. That is the best way to learn anything or to understand anything. Visual communication requires a lot of things, such as it may be represented in the form of posters or in the form of maps, or graphical representation must be there, and different kind of like physical models, illustrations, graphical illustrations, slideshows. Like we have kind of for PowerPoint presentation, that also an example of visual understanding or visual communication, because this will affect others a lot. Like if a teacher is giving a presentation regarding any topic, so he or she must have a particular like diagram for it, for the better understanding, or should consist a practical model that would be more helpful, and such as slideshows. They are also gonna play an important role in understanding different things. So according to me, visuals communication is best when it is combined with verbal or non-verbal communication. So it's kind of a combo that you can gonna have the best communication or best speech of you. That is all what you should know about visual communication. Now let's talk about listening. Listening is a very important part of communication, because listening is what others do. Like if I'm speaking, you are listening. And listening, why it is important? Because if you are listening, you will give me a feedback, and that will enhance my morale, that will enhance my confidence that yeah, whatever I am saying is you are getting it. So your feedback or your response is very important to me, and it will be only possible if you are listening. If you are not listening, then it is this communication will lead to nothing. So listening here again plays a very crucial role in communication. For being a good listener or being a good communicator, you must also be a good listener. Like not only listening what other is saying is not only the fact you needed. Actually, you must be mentally or present. You must be mentally present to understand what other is saying, or you just need not to listen what they are saying. You have to grab the things, and you have to understand what emotions they have used in their communication or anything else. This is all what make you a good listener, because if you are a good listener, then only you can observe what others are saying, with what emotions they are saying, and you have to reply them back in just similar emotions. Like this will make you a best communicator, because listening or understanding what other is saying is the main role in communication. Okay, so let me tell you about different types of communication. So whenever we are texting someone, okay, we usually use a different way of communication with them. Like we have to communicate with them in a different mode, because talking to someone in person is very different from talking to someone online. In online, the important factor is that you can hide your emotions. That is the most important factor, that you are not capable of showing your emotions in online texting. As in person, you can express your emotion with your expressions or your way of speaking or your tone, your voice tone. This all factor needs to express your emotions. But online, this is not possible. So whenever we are talking to, especially if we are talking to a stranger, we will communicate in a very polite way. Okay, we will ask him or her anything about him or her in a very proper or applicable way. That is the way how to talk to someone. Communicating over the internet comes with special considerations. When you combine anonymity with a wide reach, messages can get muddled. Just think about how communication works on social media platforms. With the University of People, however, we make it a point to deliver most effective online communication possible. Through their discussion boards and peer assessment, students communicate thoughts and ideas wherever or wherever they want. Also, there are some sort of formal communication or some sort of informal communication. Look, Informal communication, we all are aware from our childhood. We talk to our parents, we talk to our siblings, we relatives. This all comes under informal communication, because we not need to be formal in this. We are habitual to this. We are habitual to our own language in this. Language plays a crucial role in communication, as because language, your way of speaking, this all enhance your personality. Like, according to me, being a bilingual or being a bilingual speaker enhance your confidence, because speaking in only one language can cause kind of a monotonous way, or it could be like dull. But I think being a bilingual can enhance and can create a creative effect in your speech. So try to use more than one language in your speech or anything you are saying, because this will affect a lot on the one who is listening. And talking about the informal communication is all what we are aware of, because it doesn't require any kind of rules or different things. You are just what you are. You just have to express what you are, and that's all about information of informal communication. And formal communication comes with set of rules. You can't just go to your boss or someone you are professionally connected with and say things to him like, no, it's not the appropriate way. There is always a proper way to communicate with them. If you are in requirement of anything, there will be a proper procedure to do that thing. Okay, like you should start with good morning sir, good evening sir, or whatever it is. So there is always a respectful way in that thing. And these things is how you treat your professionals in the way. This is all comes under the formal information. And whenever we are talking to someone, like we haven't talked them before, you both are strangers to each other, in that particular situation you should also prefer a formal communication, because this one whom you're talking to is not known to you and you're not known to them. So according to me, in that situation you should be formal to them. Okay, like you should ask them everything in a formal way, that would you like to have this, or would you like to have this, that, anything. I think that is the important vector that improve your personality. And whenever we are communicating, we must ensure that what other one is thinking, because I think the emotional part comes here, which plays an important role. Because if someone is talking to you, they are expressing their emotions to you. You must be aware of their emotions. If they are sad or kind of not so happy, then I think at that time you should feel empathetic. Like you should show your empathy towards them with your words or with your body language, whatsoever it is. You must be empathetic at that time to help them from covering that situation and all. And if someone is talking to you politely, always reply them in a polite manner. Don't high up your tone or your pitch. No, because if someone is doing this, if someone is trying to get comfortable with you, you should also give them chance, or you should also make them comfortable. And always ensure about your emotions. Your emotions are also important. If you are thinking that someone else is not understanding your emotions, so no, that doesn't even matter. Just do whatever you're doing, and you should not even care about others in that thing, because the one who matters is you, your emotions. Okay, so whenever you think that your emotions are getting hurt, just stay away from them. You don't need to communicate there. And yeah, there is a best way to tackle such situations also. You should talk to them politely. You should talk to them like you know everything. You should be like that. It is not affecting you. You have to handle them with your best communication skills. Okay, so maybe this video will help you a lot to improve your communication skills, to brush up your communication skills. I hope you must have liked the video. So that was all. Me, Shreya, signing out here. Thank you and have a very nice day. Keep communicating. Goodbye.